And then there's also the evidence of Richard Leroux to the effect that he received instructions from Mrs. Thomas to do some repairs at the house of Mrs. Mokonyane. Chair, Mrs. Thomas is here to give evidence. Can she be sworn in?
So basically, Ms. Thomas' evidence relates to BOSASA and the evidence given by Mr. Grizi and Mr. Leroux, as well as evidence still to be given by Ms. G. Peters with regard to allegations of a close relationship between BOSASA stroke Mr. Gavin Watson with Ms. Nomvula Mokonyane and Mr. Agrizi's evidence that BOSASA did various things for Ms. Mokonyane or her family because according to Mr. Agrizi, Mr. Gavin Watson said Ms. Mokonyane was very influential and they needed to look after her in order for them to, as BOSASA, to have protection from prosecution or certain investigations by the SIU. So Ms. Thomas' evidence will deal with what she knows with regard to any interactions that may have happened between BOSASA, Mr. Grizi, Mr. Gavin Watson, and Ms. Mokonyane, as well as herself. You may administer the oath or affirmation.
Please state your full names for the record.
Sandra Thomas.
Do you have any objection to taking the...
Sorry, I suspect the transcribers won't hear you. Maybe you can remove your mask for now.
Oh.
Or move it a little bit so that...
I'll just do this.
Yeah.
My full name is Sandra Thomas.
Do you have any objection to taking the prescribed oath?
No, I don't.
Do you consider the oath to be binding on your conscience?
Yes, I do.
Do you swear that the evidence will give you the truth, the whole truth and nothing else but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Okay, thank you. You may be seated, Mr. Thomas. If you don't have any objection, you could remove your mask so that we can hear you on the understanding that there is enough social distance. But you must tell me if you have a problem.
Yeah, if I find that it's a bit difficult, then I'll remove it, Your Honor.
Sorry?
I'm saying if I find that it's a bit difficult, then I'll remove it.
Yes, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's
I'll
better
just keep it this way.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Nacho.
Chair, I understand from the legal representatives of Ms. Thomas that she wants to say something before she starts with the evidence.
Let's get them to place themselves on record first. You may do so from where you are, just to place yourself on
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. I'm Manala ME. I'm instructed by Mr. Madlanga of Madlanga Incorporated.
Thank you.
And we together appear for Ms. Thomas.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas, you want to say something?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor, and
Yes.
everybody else here. So I just wish to apologize for the mistake that happened last week.
Yes.
It was in all honor a communication mistake and a breakdown there, and I do apologize.
Yes.
It wasn't an intent for me not to be here. It was a bit embarrassing though, but really I do apologize humbly so.
Okay.
And I am here now,
Yes.
so we can
No.
go ahead.
No, your apology is accepted. I do accept that you didn't intend to be disrespectful.
No, I did not.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Now, Ms. Thomas, you'll find in front of you there is a black file. Chairperson, I refer to the file which is marked BOSASA Bundle 1. Do you have that in front of you, Ms. Thomas?
Yes, I do.
Sorry, do we call you Miss or Mrs. Thomas?
Miss.
Miss Thomas.
Yes.
I don't see on the spine of this file that you have got Mr. Akrizi's statement here as well as Mr. Leroux's statement. Is it in another file that is here or?
The excerpt of Mr. Akrizi and Mr.
Well,
Leroux that referred to
Yeah,
her are
whether
in
it's
the,
an excerpt or the whole statement.
no, it's an excerpt which is attached to the summons, the relevant part attached to the summons.
Does that excerpt only relate to what Mr. Agriz said about Ms. Thomas, or does it cover what he said about Ms. Mokonyane as well?
No, it does cover both.
It does
You
cover
will
both.
see, yes, you'll see on page 33, Chair, where it deals with Ms. Mokonyane.
Oh, okay.
And
And
then,
it covers the supplementary and the reply, because there was the first affidavit, then there was a supplementary affidavit, and there was Mr. Agriz's response to Ms. Mokonyane's affidavit.
no, those are not included,
That's not included.
yes.
Yeah,
But
in,
what
in
is-
in the supplementary is I think there is something in the supplementary that relates to Ms. Mokonyane. I think Mr. Akriz's story about Ms. Mokonyane is contained in his first affidavit, in his supplementary affidavit, as well as in his response
Yes.
to Ms. Mokonyane's affidavit. That's where you get the whole story.
Yes. The only reason, Chair, that those are not here in this, in the summons, is because they do not refer to the witness. You will find, Chair, where, if you were to turn to page 41, page 41 of Exhibit 27. And then there it starts, and page 41 starts the evidence of Mr. Agriz before you. And then
Yeah.
the relevant part of that evidence is on page 44.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Let's proceed. I would have liked to have the complete version so as to see how it diverges or converges with her evidence. But that's fine. Let's proceed.
Now, Ms. Thomas, you're on page, there's, if you see the tag, there are tags in this bundle we have been given. There's a tag which is 27.1, it's called Exhibit 27.1.
Yes.
And if you, there you turn to page 57, 57.3, that is your, the numbering we're using the black numbers.
Yes, I am. I'm with you.
That is the affidavit. Now, if you turn to, once you are there,
I'm sorry.
turn to,
That is whose affidavit?
that is Ms. Thomas's affidavit,
On what page?
page 57.3,
87,
57,
57.
yes.
Yes. Chief, but I'm comfortable, but it's okay.
Are you
What will
comfortable?
make it comfortable? Although you are talking, I'm asking you questions. You are talking to the chair.
Okay, no
So
problem.
it's,
I think,
yeah, if you sit that way, it might even be. Is it all right now?
No problem.
Are
Just
you comfortable?
the chair is a bit uncomfortable.
Wobbly.
But I'll make it not wobbly. I would like to move it a bit, but
Yeah, move it a bit if that will make you comfortable.
it's just heavy.
It's a funny chair, Mr. It's stuck. It's stuck.
Yeah,
And
kind of.
in order to move it a bit, sit on it, and then like kick, almost push it.
Okay, I think this is better. It's low, but it's fine.
It's low, but it's fine.
Yes, yes, it is.
Oh,
I'll just lift up the file to see.
Oh, I wonder whether anything can be done. Okay, all right, let's continue.
No, we can proceed. It's not a problem.
Okay, all right.
Now, turn to page 57.25. Then in that page, 57.25?
57.5.
Yeah, 57.25. 0.25, yes. Bearing in mind, we're using the black numbering
And this is my affidavit.
in your affidavit, yes. At the top,
No, no,
left
I'm
hand
there.
top, left hand top.
Point 25 is the last page.
Yes, the last page. There's above the word deponent, there's a signature there. Is that your signature?
That is my signature, yes.
Now, this document, starting from 57.3 to 57.25.
Yes.
Is that your affidavit you confirm?
This is my affidavit, yes.
Now, if we then go back to 57.3,
57 point?
point 3 of the affidavit, in the beginning of your affidavit.
Yes, I'm there now.
Now, your affidavit, you begin by giving a background of,
Before that, do you want me to admit this affidavit, Mr. Noshe?
yes, Chair, can this be admitted?
You confirm that this is your affidavit?
This is my affidavit, Your Honor.
Yes, and you confirm that the contents of the affidavit are to the best of your knowledge and belief true and correct?
Yes, I do, sir.
Okay. What exhibit number should it be?
It's T27.1.
Well, is it T27?
Yes, T27.1. Because T27 is the summons.
I think that the spine should indicate exactly what it is. It shouldn't just say Kutsi Thomas, because I take that to be their affidavit. So, but you say that 27 is the summons. I think it must make it clear what it is that one will find inside. So, okay. Ms. Sandra Thomas' affidavit is admitted and will be marked as Exhibit 27.1.
Yes.
Yes.
Just before we deal in details with your affidavit, Ms. Thomas, where do you work now?
I'm now based at Luthuli House in, yes,
That the ANC
ANC head office.
headquarters?
Yeah.
I see. And are you still the personal secretary, assistant of Mrs. Mokonyane?
Yes, I am.
So are you employed by the ANC now?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Okay.
And I see that you have got the same lawyers as Mrs. Mokonyane.
Yes.
Is she paying for you for the services as well?
No, we haven't come to discuss myself and my attorneys on what my fees would be. because all of this was just a bit of a rush. So we will get to that when we are done here today, hopefully.
I mean, I don't think it can be a rush. It could be a rush because, according to your statement, you were with these attorneys since
Yes.
2019.
Yes.
So since 2019, you have not made any payment arrangements with them.
We have, we need to finalize the total amount after today. So
Who's paying for them?
well, I haven't paid them as yet. I haven't paid them anything as yet.
Who's going to pay them?
I am going to pay them.
Now, in your affidavit, you give a background of when you started with Mrs. Mokonyane. Can you confirm that? When did you start working for her?
I started in the Department of Safety around 1999. I was employed as an administrative secretary who ultimately is responsible for like running the office, kind of like, so not an office manager, but yeah.
And then for Mrs. Mokonyane, when did you start working for her?
Directly.
Yes.
At the time, that was in the office, in the private office.
Of Mrs. Mokonyane?
Yes.
I see. And then, did you continue with her when she became premier?
Yes.
How did that happen?
During the period at the Department of Safety, the PA, she didn't pitch up for work. And unfortunately, or should I say fortunately, either way, fortunately, I was there and I occupied her seat, not knowing, the formalities about being a PA and the protocols of safety and the police. So I was there and I filled the seat. And I had to learn very quickly because she just didn't come back. I had to learn on my feet, so it's hitting the road running. I learned, and I think I executed my duties rather well because I then moved with her to Department of Housing.
Were you not employed by the Department of...
Sorry. You might have to
I might have
shift
to.
it even more.
Why don't I just
Because
take it off?
yeah. Okay, all right. Thank
Can I
you.
just-
Because I'm missing some words
It
as
kind
you
of-
speak, yeah, so.
No, Your Honor, it's fine now.
And I want to hear everything you are saying.
Okay, no, my apologies.
That's much better.
Yes, Mr. Notary.
So were you not employed by the Department of Safety and Security?
I was employed by the Department of Safety and it had many names, community liaison.
Yes.
And it was on a temporary basis in the beginning.
And then how do you then move to Department of Housing when Mrs. Mokonyane moved?
Look, that's the choice of the member of the executive as to who would accompany them to the following departments. That choices are theirs. So they could either leave you, or they could take whoever is at the department. It's entirely up to them.
I see. And then you then moved with her when she became the premier.
Yes, I did.
And then when she became the Minister of Water Affairs, you moved her with her again.
Yes, I did.
So basically you have been with her for a number of years, for a long time.
20 years to be exact.
From 2002
2099 to...
or from 1999?
Yes, sir, to date.
Yes, so that's like what, 21 years?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a long time.
A long time.
Yes, it is.
It means she must be very happy with you.
I would hope so.
And it means you are very happy with her.
Well, we do hard work. And
Yeah.
if you have the energy,
Okay.
you must always preempt your ministers or your principals.
I understand. And I understand, I mean, look, from your affidavit, you have become almost part of the family.
Yes, yes, it's different when you're working with, I would not to be gender-based, but working with a female minister. They are ministers in their capacities, but they are also women and they are also mothers, and some of the tasks they can't fulfill. So, when they are in, for example, I would just say, if they are in your hotlas, for example, their phones are off. If they are in a cabinet meetings, their phones are off. Any meeting, their phones are off. So if there's anything happening, if they cannot reach the spouse, they would contact me. And I would obviously find a way to either speak to the spouse or either speak to her. But if I know where she is, I know that I would know if she's in a cabinet meeting. Clearly, I wouldn't be able to relay the message. If she does get the message, it will only be during a lunch period, you know. But by then it would be possibly too late. It depends on the kind of emergency. So I would obviously contact the spouse, the late Mr. Mokonyane. That would be my first point of contact.
So from what you are saying and from the affidavit, you dealt with some other things which are outside your official duties.
Yes, and this is what I'm saying, that coming back to the issue of, you know, when you work with female ministers, they are also mothers, and they are also wives. So you kind of fill the gap, and you do things. So it's well, let me put it like this: every PA, he or she may have a different role, because we don't just come in women form, where there's men PAs as well. So you fill in the gap where you have to, and you try to do the best you can. Because obviously, it's just the dynamics of the office. You're not bound to your role and responsibilities, but it's then again how you work with your principal.
And I suppose in those situations you even visit the private home of the minister. You must have,
Not often.
but you do.
Not really, because I'm not the kind of person that would just go. I do have a line. I would go as and when requested to,
And
not
you,
just on my own.
and you confirm that you did visit Mrs. Mokonyane's home. Now and
Yes,
again.
yes, when I have to accompany somebody like the driver, I would take something home, or when there's files that needs to go, I would accompany the driver. Just to brief on what we have and so on.
I mean, from your
Is
summons,
that, I'm sorry, are you talking about head driver?
The department driver. We do, in the private office, whether it's in the MEC or the ministry, there is a private office driver.
Oh, not
Driver
necessarily.
/ messenger.
Yeah, okay, all right.
and you in your summons,
Yes.
and I'm sure you were following the proceedings where the name of Mrs. Mokonyane was mentioned, and her relationship with the late Mr. Kevin Watson was mentioned.
Well, not much, but here and there.
Do you know Mr. Kevin Watson?
I knew Mr. Watson telephonically for a very long time.
You know of a relationship between her and Mrs. Mokonyane?
I don't know exactly. I know that he's a family friend, but I knew him by talking to him on the phone. In fact, the funny part is that, you know, when you talk to somebody for quite some time, you try and then put a face to the name, so you Google. And then you see, okay, this is the person.
Oh,
So that was my first point, that I decided to, let me Google this man and see who am I talking to.
but you never saw him in the face besides Google face.
No, I think once. Once at the son's funeral, he came to sympathize. Yes.
Did you also, of course, you also attended the funeral?
It was during the run-up, you know, during the period before the funeral. He just came to sympathize, and that's when I actually met him.
I see.
How long ago was that? If you are able to remember.
She was a premier at the time, Your Honor.
Okay, so that was before 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's between 2009 and 2014, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's when I think she
I'm
was.
sorry, you know, this whole COVID has just messed up one's date and sense of time.
Sorry?
I'm saying this whole COVID thing has messed up your date and sense of time, so, yeah.
Yeah.
And Mr. Krisi, you know him?
I've spoken to him, not often, but I've seen him too during that very same period. In fact, if I'm not sure, they may have come to, I don't know, together to sympathize, but something like that, yeah.
What did you speak to Mr. Krisi about?
I'm sorry, before that, do do you say that you saw Mr. Agrizi at the Mokonyane home during the period leading to the funeral?
It could be, yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm not too sure, but look, it's been quite some time, so.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Is your recollection that you saw him also only once in the 21 years or so that you, well, maybe not 21, in over 15 years, 16 years, 17 years, that you were working for Ms. Mokonyane?
I'm not sure, but that's the one that I can definitely
That you
confirm.
can remember.
But I will come back,
Yes.
Your Honor, because it'll come back to me.
It will come back, okay, no, that's fine.
And you've just told the commission that you spoke to Mr. Agrizi on the phone. You did speak to him on the phone.
Once or twice, but most of my communication was with Mr. Watson.
See, what did you speak with Mr. Agrizi about?
Well, he would call, at one stage, he called, we didn't go into details as to what it was. You know, he called and I said to him that, I think he must have heard that I'm a bit drowsy. And he called, I said to him, look, I'm not at work. I'm going to send you the number of my colleague and you can speak to her. And he wanted to know, like, why, what's happening. And I just said to him that I'm off sick. And that was it. So I referred him to my late colleague to speak to, because I was in no position to talk to him at all.
I see. Is that the only time you spoke to him?
He may have called once before then, but as I'm saying, you know, it'll come back. It'll come back.
I understand. I understand. Tell me, your birthdays, did you give him your birthday at some stage?
This is a funny thing. Mr. Watson, like any other, well, not any other person, but you know what happens, Your Honor, is people would call, and it's not just necessarily people, but it's people that we liaise with. And amongst the ministers, we have dates of whose birthdays they are, especially those that she's quite close to. So you send, so my duty would be, I would obviously call the PA and say, listen, you know, what does your principal prefer? Flowers, chocolates, what do you think? Or what perfume does your principal like? Those kind of things. So outside of the work relations, there's also other people that would call and say, you know, I want to get your boss something, but what do you think I should get? Do you think I should get flowers? If I say flowers, yes, this is the colors she prefers. So the person has already decided, you know, some of them has already decided that they're going to buy flowers. They just want to know from me, what does she prefer? Because it's no secret that she suffers from very bad asthma and sinus. So some of the flowers, and so do I, some of the flowers, like your lilies, for example, they either give off that terrible pollen smell. You walk into a room and you just smell lilies, so it messes me up. So the same thing with her. So I would just say, look, don't get lilies. If you're going to get some flowers or whatever, roses, these are the colors that you do. And if somebody decides that they want to get a perfume, I will correct them and say, this is what you do. This is the preferable choice, if it's okay with you. Because I don't quite know what price they are, but I would say this is the perfume of your choice, And if they want to do something else, it's up to them. So in the years that we've been working together, and it happened quite funny, because we had a tea lady, which I was very close to, and one day I just said to her, hey, it's my birthday, you know, come, let me go buy a carrot cake. So in the building we had a canteen, and it was funny, because in the mornings we would stop there religiously and buy carrot cake before the boss arrives, and we'd have carrot cake. But on this day, I said to her, you know what, let's go and buy cake and see if we can get something else besides carrot cake, because it's my birthday. And she used to be with the MEC at the time, the former minister, from the Department of Agriculture. So she then said, I'll put it the way she put it. She says, oh, Kanti, you and the minister, you shared a birthday date, month. I'm like, really? And she then explained to me that, no, the minister's on a day after mine. So it was funny. I suppose it's how it's supposed to have been. We share, that's how I discovered that we share.
You are the same star.
Yes, we are.
Sorry, perhaps I didn't come out clearly.
Sorry?
Perhaps I didn't come out clearly in my question.
Yes.
Mr. McGreasy, how did he come to know about your birthday?
Oh, I would probably from Mr. Watson, because Mr. Watson knew when my birthday was, and he would call. He would call either on my birthday or the day after my birthday, but somewhere in that period. And he would call and he would say, what do you think? I want to do flowers, but what do you think? Can you recommend somebody? So I would, at times I would recommend somebody that normally does the flowers in her home and say, go speak to this lady because she knows what she wants. And that would be it. And I think maybe through their discussions and obviously talks and so on, he then discovered that it was my birthday. We share a birthday in the same week. And it is with that then that he would often call me or surprise me with something, more often call me or send me a message and happy birthday and things like that. In the latter years, it was just surprises, not necessarily a conversation, but a surprise.
So you do confirm then that over years, you and the minister were receiving birthday presents and
Not all the time.
From Mr. Watson.
Mr. Watson.
And through Mr. Agrizi.
Well, probably, I don't know how they work in that office, so.
I'm sorry, just repeat that.
I'm saying I don't know how they work in their office.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I have no idea.
I see.
But it's like I'm saying, it's not all the time.
Let us
maybe-
say that by Mr. Agrizi left BOSASA, I think in 2016 or 17, that would mean you had by that time been PA to Ms. Mokonyane for about 17 years or
Yes.
thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah.
Out of 17 years, what would be your estimate of how many of those years Mr. Gavin Watson might have sent presents to you and Ms.
To myself.
Yeah, let's say to yourself.
Let me say to myself, because often, at times, I wouldn't know if he even
Yeah.
sent her or it
Yeah.
would be that odd time that he would call me.
Yes, let's
But
say-
to myself, not very often. It was not a yearly thing.
Yeah,
It would come as a surprise.
yes.
It's not all the time.
Yeah, what, 5 times, 10 times out of
Maybe
17?
even less, Your Honor.
Maybe even less?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And as far as presents for Ms. Mokonyane, out of the 17 years, what would you say?
There would
Those
be
that
that
you saw?
one odd call that you would ask me, what do you think?
Yes.
What do you think? Because we've now exhausted, maybe I bought flowers. Let me surprise her with something different. What do you think?
Yeah.
Sometimes I wouldn't know.
Yes.
I would say to him, you know what, Mr. Watson, let me think about it. And I obviously would maybe forget because you become bogged down. But he would then also remind me. So I don't know at what he would send. It wouldn't come through me.
Yeah.
It would obviously go directly to him. So if he chooses flowers, if he chooses to send her something else, I wouldn't know, and I wouldn't know if it has actually been sent.
Or is the position that you would get calls from Mr. Gavin Watson
Directly, yes.
about your birthday as well as about Ms. Mokonyane's birthday present, but the discussion, for example, about Ms. Mokonyane's birthday present, what you would suggest he should buy for her,
Well,
would
it-
not necessarily mean you would see the birthday
Exactly,
present.
Your Honor.
It might just be a discussion.
It's a discussion,
But what
but
he
I wouldn't-
ultimately bought, you might not see.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't even know if it got there because
Oh.
I'm not there. And
Okay.
the latter part, we were in Cape Town most of the time. So whether things actually arrived or not, we don't know.
Okay.
And you would wish the minister a birthday, a good birthday on her birthday?
Me.
Yes, you.
Obviously, I would arrange flowers we would put together in our office and we'd buy cake and flowers and cool drink and balloons and we were the private office staff, we would have something, depending, it doesn't matter where we are.
And I'm sure after the birthday day celebrations, you'll also tell her that Mr. Kevin Watson did want to send you something. Did you receive?
No, look, those are surprises. Can't ruin a surprise.
No, I mean after the surprise, after the,
No, I would, after, I'm sorry, Your Honor, but sometimes you're so bogged down, you actually forget. So after some time, I would maybe ask her, maybe not, it doesn't. If she says, this is what I've received from X, Y, Z, or this is what I have, that's not necessarily from who, I would know. But whether he's actually bought it or sent it, I wouldn't know.
I understand. Tell me, do you know Mr. Kevin, Agriz's PA, Gina Peters?
Okay, I discovered her name actually the other day when I received the notice that she was going to testify. I spoke to her once, and that was the time when Mr. Agrizi called, and I said to him that I'm actually in Brenthurst. He needs to speak to my colleague. And then I got a call from her wanting to know my home address. And in fact, it was more, where should I send it? So I said, just send it home. And I gave her my home address, and that was it.
Is that the only time that you spoke to her?
Yes, to my recollection, yes, because I honestly didn't even know her name until I received.
You saw her affidavit?
Yes, I did.
And you saw that she refers to more than one present?
I saw that, and I can account for the get well gift, for sure.
Okay, let's start with the get well. Turn to page 85. 85, chair of the bundle. This is an email from Gina Peters to Dube and other people. And she says, they must arrange a ladies' hamper to be delivered to Mrs. Sandy Thomas, and then she gives the address. Is this the get well you refer to?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It was in 2014.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Now, if you turn to page 83, now in June 2015, she asking people to assist with 2 hampers, and then she gives the address of Mr. Nomvula at 105 Blowback Street, Noord-Hevelen. And I think this is the address of Mr. Nomvula. You confirm? Page 83.
I'm just going to the annex, just a second.
Sorry.
There's an email here.
Yes.
I see that the email goes to a Dube.
Yes,
Is that the one?
yeah.
Okay.
And if it says, hi all, I'm reading the email. Please, can someone assist me with 2 ladies' hampers to the value of 1,500 each, as follows. Minister Nomvula, 105 Blowback Street. You confirm that's Mrs. Mokonyane's
Yes,
home
that's
address?
her home address.
And then 2 Sandy Thomas, 1 Kaiskama Street.
That's my address.
You forgot, Mr. Noche. Did you forget and read the address?
Oh, I beg your pardon, Chair. And then there's the address, Sandy Thomas, and then there's the address there.
Yes.
And it says, please do not make any reference to BOSASA, and the contact number for both parcels is Sandy Thomas, and then it gives a number, a cell number.
Yes, I see that.
Is this your cell number?
Yes, I
at the time?
confirm that this is my cell number.
Now, over the page.
I'm sorry, that's an email dated 29 June 2015.
Yes.
Yes.
Sent by Ms. Gina Peters at 8 minutes past 11 to Dube, Innocencia Maraya and Arthur Hand, is that right? And the subject is 2 times urgent ladies hampers, confidential. Yes, continue.
And then over the page, on page 82, we see there an email. This is from Kobela Poshoko to Gina Peters. The same date as 11:57. And it says, to urgent ladies hamper confidential. Hi Gina, I've processed the orders as requested and just waiting delivery confirmation from the supplier. Kind regard, and then you see that.
Yes, I see that.
Now, we then go over the page to page 81. And then, if you start at the bottom, I always find emails funny to read because you start at the bottom when you read them. Look at the page 81. Are you there?
Just give me the top what it says because I'm actually using my own file here.
Oh. It's an email, in the beginning it's an email from Kopela.
Why are you not using?
This one and mine, because I put my own file together.
I think
let me go to
yeah,
page, what did you say?
Because
you
there'll be
get lost.
confusion.
Page 81.
81.
Yeah,
Let me go there.
on the top left-hand corner, the correct numbers.
Look, you'll have all the time. If you want to, you check something in your own file, you'll have the
Yeah,
time.
I'll do that. Just a second. I'm just going there.
Page 81.
That is under tab number 29.
Yeah. Okay, I see the email.
Okay.
Look at the bottom. We start at the bottom. It's from Obela, the name we saw on the previous page. It says, hi Gina, just want to let you know that these orders will be delivered tomorrow. I'll keep you posted. Kind regards.
Yes,
You
I
see
see that, yes.
And then Gina responds, says, thank you, dearie. And then at the top of that page, on the 1st of July, Kobelo sends an email to Gina and says, good morning, Gina. The hampers were made yesterday in the afternoon. The hamper deliveries were made yesterday afternoon. You see
Okay,
that?
I see that too, yes.
Did you not receive these hamper deliveries?
Well, be it on a Wednesday, I was obviously at work, so, I'm going to say this in all honesty. When I received Ms. Gina's affidavit, I have an 83-year-old mother, and I asked her, when did did you receive any hampers? I was at work. It was a Wednesday, I was at work. So in all honesty, my recollection of receiving a hamper, I did not receive that. I wasn't there. I was at work. I did not come home and find a hamper. No.
Are you saying to the commission that as you're sitting there today, you saying you never received the hamper?
No, I was at work on that particular day. So even if at this point, I can't say to you whether I was in Cape Town or whether I was in Pretoria.
I understand.
Right? But I didn't sign for it, so I cannot recall receiving a particular hamper on a Wednesday, 1st of July. It is a weekday.
And you confirm this is around your birthday?
My birthday is on the 26th of June.
Yes, so
Yes.
it's not far from your birthday.
No, it's not far from my birthday.
And when you saw this affidavit of Gina Peters,
Yes.
and she says there were these hampers delivered, and you say you had no recall of whether it was received by your family or not, you must have seen that there is also a reference to Mrs. Mokonyane, a delivery to Mrs. Mokonyane's home.
I saw that the reference because it was sent to both ladies.
Yes. Did you ask her now? Say, ma'am, did you ever receive this?
No, I did not. I did not ask.
Now, I was looking
Because
in your
as-
affidavit.
Normally Wednesdays, it's either a cabinet meeting or a subcommittee meeting, and that would be Wednesdays. So, like I'm saying, I don't know, were we in Cape Town, were we in Pretoria during this period? Because when I look at it, we were at the Department of Water. So, I can't confirm whether she's received it. I haven't even asked her, even when I received this. Look, I consider this affidavit of Ms. Peters to be more related to me because that's what the email said, that I can question her and so forth and so forth. So if Mrs. Mokonyane has received something, I cannot confirm on behalf of anybody. I don't think it's fair that I should confirm that she's received. She may not even have received it. But again, and I want to...
Well, Your
Honor?
you are only required to tell us what you know.
Yes,
If you don't know whether she received it, you say you don't know.
yes, yes, Your Honor.
If you do know, you say yes, she did.
No problem. Thank you.
And as I was reading your affidavit, I was reading with a bated breath that you would say you received or didn't receive it. You confirm that in your affidavit you don't deny receiving.
No, I
Yes.
don't deny receiving the flowers.
No, the hamper.
Look, there may have been, like I said, and I indicated earlier, there may have been once or twice, but I indicated that it will come back. It'll come back. I can confirm the flowers, the Gatewell flowers. And I know that maybe at some point, but I can't confirm whether it was that particular day or whether it was any other time.
And all I'm saying now is you, in your affidavit,
Yes.
you must have forgotten to deny that you received the hamper.
No, I didn't deny. I'm not denying.
Oh,
I'm
I see.
saying may
She
have
says
received.
she says she
I
is
received,
not sure
but
whether
it was
she
on that-
received this particular one.
Yes,
And I think she says she may have received a hamper at some stage or another.
yes, Your Honor.
And as to when that will be, maybe that will come back to her.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I'm not denying. It may not be that time. It may have been
Yes.
another time.
And can I confirm that in your affidavit,
Yes,
you do not say you don't remember receiving the hamper?
yes, I do know. Like I'm saying, I know. I just cannot say to you that is it on that particular date because it may have been any other time, but not that particular date. Because, like I'm saying, that date is Wednesdays. It's at work, so it could have been any other time.
Yes. And you're telling the commission that you dealt with Mr. Agrizi once.
Once or twice, once or twice, not necessarily that I would call him to pick up whatever, no. My communication was mostly with Mr. Watson. And how they did their communication in the office, I would not know.
And if you just turn to page 85
Of my affidavit.
of page 80 of the bundle.
Yes,
You have page 85?
page 25.
85, sorry, I beg your
85.
pardon, yeah.
I'm looking at
Yes.
85.
You confirm you're receiving the Gatewell flowers?
Yes, I
The
do.
The Gatewell hamper?
It was flowers or something like that. Whether
so-
it was flowers, whether it was a hamper, I don't know. But I do know that when I got home, there was a little card
And the card read, "Dear Sandy, wishing you speedy recovery
Yes, it was from
and,
Mr.
and
Agrizi.
everything of the best.
Yes,
God bless."
yes,
Angelo
it was.
Agrizi.
Yes, it was.
It was not from Mr. Gavin Watson.
I don't, as I indicated earlier, Mr. Agrizi called me. He called and I said, I cannot assist you. I didn't know what it was about. And I said, I cannot assist you. I'm going to give you my colleague's number and you can talk to her. And he wanted to know, where am I? Maybe he heard some things in the background, I'm not sure, but I said to him that I'm in hospital, you can speak to my colleague.
Yes.
Then that's the reason why obviously the card would have his name.
And then the person who had spoken to him twice then sent you this message.
Excuse me?
I said the person who had spoken to you twice.
We've
on a brief-
spoken, when I'm saying we've spoken once or twice, I'm saying once or twice. We could have spoken more. It depends on what the necessity was. But I've spoken to him and I confirmed that yes, I did get these flowers.
I understand. So you spoke to him once or twice or more. What did
Or
you speak
more.
about? What did you speak about?
Well, it would depend on what he needed.
What would that be?
I wouldn't know. At one stage, I think he called. Well, like I said, the day when he called, I was in hospital, so I don't know what that one was all about.
Yes.
He called once. I was at work.
Yes.
So obviously, I know I was at work and I was on another call.
Yes.
I canceled the call and said, I will call back. Okay? So I called.
Yes.
And he was in a meeting.
Yes.
And by then. So that call didn't follow up. We would call me about various things. Mr. Watson asked me to call you.
Yes.
There was a number of issues that Mr. Watson would ask him to call me for.
What are those issues, please?
Well, it would be that Mr. Watson had spoken to Mr. Mokonyane and I can't quite recollect what some of the issues were, but it was quite a number of issues Mr. Watson would have met with the late Mr. Mokonyane.
I see. And you can't even remember one issue.
It'll come back to me, Mr. Nokri. Well, I'm sure I would be able to answer that.
When? Today?
No, today.
Oh, I see. Right now, so finally your evidence is that you spoke to Mr. Agrizi more than twice.
Yes, Mr. Norki, the nature of my job is such, and Your Honor, is that, when you call people or people call you, and depending on their tone, you can befriend a person. This is how I did things. You can become comfortable and have a relationship with that person without knowing that person. So if somebody calls and says, "Hi, Sandy, it's Angelo here. I would oblige and be as friendly as I am. So it's not a matter of it had to be something necessarily. It would just be, "Hi, Sandy, can you help me with the number of this? Can you help me with the number of that? Do you know anything of this? Who can I contact here and there?" Simple little things. But you develop relationships with people telephonically. And as I've indicated in my affidavit, look, I speak to people and have spoken to people, a lot of people, and to date, I still cannot put faces to those voices.
Okay.
It's just on how you work with people, you network telephonically, and as a PA, it helps. So I may call you at one stage and say, "Mr. Norki, remember this day and that day. Can you help me out with something?"
Understand. Sorry, I don't want to embarrass you. It's Noche. The name is
Noche.
Noche.
Okay, sorry.
No, don't worry, it's fine. I'm used to it.
I was putting it in an Afrikaans way.
I know, yeah, I know. Man. At times I get to places, people think I'm not here.
Yeah.
No, it's Noche. Yeah.
It's Noche. And did I say Norki?
I
Afrikaans.
see. Now,
Okay.
just tell the commission about this. You said at times, because Mrs. Mokonyane was away at meetings and all that, you would have to deal with her domestic things, domestic affairs.
Yes.
And you say in those instances, perhaps you would be called by Mr. Mokonyane
I would call Mr. Mokonyane.
to deal with stuff.
Yeah. Because the train that followed was for them to call me, because Mr. Mokonyane himself will maybe in a meeting. And even if I couldn't reach him, I would ask his PA where he is. And I would send him a message that, "Sir, Mr. Mokonyane, I need to talk to you urgently."
Okay.
So I would be the one making contact with him, and he will then advise and tell me, "This is what you must do, and that is what you must do."
And then also when there were problems at the house, if he says there are problems, you go and you will try and assist with that.
The ladies at home would call me, yes.
Yes.
More often the ladies at home. And I would also call them, because we had to establish a relationship with the ladies working at home.
Yes.
Well, I had to.
And then you would go to the home if there was a problem.
Not necessarily, no.
When you say not necessarily, you say you
Look,
could.
if they call and there's a problem and I can handle it at the time and sort it out, I would do so. But I would only go to the house if and when it's necessary.
Was it necessary when you visited, Mr. Agrezi says in his evidence, and I'll take you to the page, 10 to page 44. Actually, it starts at page 43.
Yes?
Look at if you look at the lines,
Okay.
this is let me just orientate you on this. This is the evidence, transcript of the evidence of Mr. Agrezi
Yes,
when he
I've,
testified before this commission.
yes, I've seen this, Mr. Noche, it's part of my summons.
The part of the summons.
Yes, I've seen that.
But you, without me going into, if you have seen it, Mr. Agrezi says on one occasion they had to drive to the house, Mrs. Mokonyane's house, and had a meeting with you there. And it was him, Kevin Watson, and you were there.
No.
Let-
I read it a couple of times. I read this one a couple of times and I tried to recall this. And yeah, I see where it says her PA was there as well, Sandy Thomas, I think her name was.
Yeah. You were
This
at the
one,
house.
I cannot honestly, Mr. Nochi, I cannot recall. Yeah.
You don't recall an incident where you were at the house with Mr. Agrezi and
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
No, not on this instance.
You are not saying that it didn't happen. You're simply saying you don't remember whether
I
it
don't
happened.
remember anything like this.
Yes, okay.
It's been quite some time. This one, I don't remember anything like this. I went through it quite some time.
Yes.
Over and over, and
Now, Mrs. Thomas, and you just tell the commission, is it correct that the only things you did regarding the house was to arrange for the repairs of things that had broken down in the house?
no, that's not the only things.
What are the other things?
Do I have to elaborate?
Yes,
No, sorry, can I-
maintenance
Can I give an
issues. I think you
example?
said maintenance issues.
Maintenance issues, it would depend on what it is and whether the ladies would actually call me.
Okay.
Yes. Well-
Sometimes they would.
When you refer to maintenance issues, what kind of issues are you having in mind?
Okay. For example, sometimes the lights
Yeah,
would go off.
yeah,
So at times the ladies are not sure whether it is a power failure or whether there is a problem, a switch or something in the house. What I would first do, Your Honor, is to ask her to ask the police at the gate just to come and check what exactly it is and also find out in the area if it is in the area
yeah.
before we do anything. And they would come back to me. If they come back to me and they say to me, no, it's in the area, or it's just this house, that's when I would call Mr. Mokonyane and say, look, there's something wrong at home. We're not sure whether it is...
Now, did you say Mr. or Miss Mokonyane?
Mr.
Well, that's when you would call him.
Yes, I would call him. Because he
But,
was responsible for most of things around maintenance at home.
Yes, now, how would you have become aware of the maintenance issue?
Well, what happened was Mr. Mokonyane had indicated to me that, look, from time to time, the ladies would call you directly
That is their helper or what?
at home, yes.
Yeah.
Like their personal
would
home.
call you directly.
It's not necessarily maintenance issues. That's why I'm asking, do I elaborate? It's not just maintenance issues.
Yes, no, I accept that. We'll
Yeah.
talk about others. I just wanted to know what you are talking about when you say maintenance issues, because in your affidavit, you do refer to what you call maintenance issues. So I just want to
Yeah,
have
I'm
an
referring to
understanding.
that as maintenance issues, but overall at home, it wouldn't just be maintenance issues. It
Yeah,
would
no,
be
no.
whatever.
We'll get to the others.
Yes.
So on maintenance, on what you call maintenance issues, you are talking about if the lights go off,
If the lights go off, if
And-
the water goes off,
if the water
If-
goes off.
if there's a toilet leak,
Yes. If there are problems with the security.
yeah, whatever.
Fissures in the house, maybe
Yes.
the electric fence,
Yes,
that
whatever.
kind of thing, yeah.
Anything. Well, the ladies just had this thing that they would call me.
Yes,
And
yes.
if I know that Mrs. Mokonyane is not there,
Yeah,
available, I would call Mr. Mokonyane.
yes,
But it ended up more so that I would rather just end up calling Mr. Mokonyane.
yes, yes,
He is,
okay.
after all, the principal of the house, so I would call him.
Would they call you even if he wasn't present in the house?
No.
Or he would call in that case?
He would call if he
Yes.
needed to call.
So whenever the helper called or called you on such issues, it would mean that Mr. Mokonyane is not home.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And then once you have been told exactly what the problem is,
I would
maybe
then-
the police at the gate have looked around, you would then phone Mr. Mokonyane to tell him what has been brought to your attention.
Yes, often, look, it depended, Your Honor, on what it was. So if it was a plumbing issue,
Yeah.
I would call the plumbers
Who you'd call a plumber?
directly, yes.
Oh, okay, all right.
If there was a leak, I
Yes.
would call the plumbers. If
Yes.
there's electrical fault, I would
Yes.
call the electrician
Yes, yes.
directly.
Yes,
But if it's
yes,
something that I don't have
Yes.
any clue on how to address, I
Yes.
would call Mr. Mokonyane.
And I saw in your affidavit, I got the impression that you would call Mr. Leroux sometimes or for certain things.
Well, it depended.
Yeah,
For example, I know that there was a day the alarm just went crazy, and I said to them, switch it off at the mains, or switch off the mains, or switch off the power, or whatever, and some reason it still didn't help. So I then called Mr. Mokonyane and said, Chief, there's this problem at home. What do I do? Because it was rather noisy, according to the ladies. And he then said, look, call this guy and speak to
Mr.
him about
Leroux.
it. Yes. But
Yes.
not knowing, no, I didn't know his surname was Leroux.
Oh,
I just know him as Richard.
Richard.
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right. Did that happen a number of times? That when there was some or other problem at home,
Yes, I would-
he said, call Mr. Leroux, Richard.
Call Richard.
Yeah,
Get
it
Richard to
happened a
come
number
out.
of times.
Yeah, or I am in wherever he is. Then
Yeah.
Please call Richard.
Okay. And then
Otherwise-
in that case, you would then call
Yes.
Mr. Leroux.
Yes.
And then, as far as you know, he would then go to the house and try and attend to the problem.
He would try and attend to it, and often I would ask him to please let me know whether it's attended to or sorted
Yes,
or whatever.
Yes, yes.
And then,
Yeah, and would he report back to
yes,
you?
he would tell me, no, it's sorted.
Yes,
I would ask him, what was the problem? So that if
Yes.
it happens in future, what do I do?
yes, yes.
You know,
And would he tell you?
he'd tell me that, no, it's this switch or that switch, but
Yes, yes.
that's where it ends.
Now, you have said that happened a number of times. Would you say it stretched over many years? I mean, you were with Ms. Mokonyane for about
No, it wouldn't stretch over that many years.
yes,
Your
maybe from 2010, maybe. Or
No, we've had these people that was there
Yeah.
to do the electricity, there's people that was there to do the plumbing.
Yeah.
So where I could sort it out, I would sort it out.
Yes.
And not
Yes.
necessarily have to call Mr.
Yes.
Mokonyane. I would call him after and
Yes.
say, or even tell her after.
Yes.
You know, sometimes I would forget
Yeah.
that there was this problem and it's been sorted.
So you are able to say there were a number of times when you were asked to contact Mr. Leroux, that is
Yeah,
Richard
Richard.
Leroux, to go and attend to some problem, some or other problem in the house, but you can't say over what period.
No, it was not over a long period.
It was
no.
not over a long
No.
period. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Now, why would you, when, on the issue of the alarm, why didn't you call the alarm people, as you say you usually do?
I don't have anybody I don't know who deals with the alarms. I don't know anybody of that. If there was somebody that was dealing with alarms, or with the alarm, or if I had known who installed the alarm, or I would have called that person. But
Now, in instances where you called the electricians, would you then arrange for the payment of the electricians?
they would leave the invoice at the house and it would be paid by Mrs. Mokonyane. They would always leave the invoice with the ladies at home.
Now, did Mr. Leroux leave an invoice for the alarm?
I don't know.
And you confirm, you were asked by the chair, that you didn't call Mr. Leroux once, you called him a number of times.
Yeah, a few times.
And you on page 37, there is an email, an SMS, I think. On the 1st of June 2017.
Yes.
And this SMS is from you to Mr. Leroux.
Yes, like I said, I didn't know his surname was Leroux, the one that reads, Dear Richard.
Is this from you to him?
Yes?
And when you say, Dear Richard, let me read it. Dear Richard, there's a problem at the house with the alarm system. For some reason, it keeps ringing, so it now has to be switched off at the switch. Now, you didn't give a house number. Am I right?
No, I did not.
Why?
I was told by Mr. Mokonyane to contact Richard and say to him that there's this problem with the alarm. Please, he must tell me what to do. And that was it.
So Richard knew, Mr. Leroux knew what house you were talking about.
Well, you obviously would have known because I was told just to tell him that.
We told him not to tell him which house it is.
No, I didn't have, no. I'm saying he wouldn't have known. I'm not saying that he didn't know or that I didn't tell him. I'm saying he would know because I was told by Mr. Mokonyane to contact him.
Yes.
Yeah, based on what the witness has said, Mr. Leroux apparently had gone to the house a number of times, isn't it?
Yes.
So he would know the house.
Look, he may have even been at the house without my knowledge, Your Honor.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was told by Mr. Mokonyane to contact him and ask him to assist. Hence, I'm saying that please let me know what to do because I had no clue what's going on with the alarm.
So this email, this SMS,
SMS.
was not your first contact with Mr. Leroux.
No, it was not my first contact with Mr. Leroux.
Hence, you don't have the house numbers here.
No, I don't have the house numbers because once I called him, I think more or less for the same problem. I just called and said, the alarm is still doing the same thing. The alarm is ringing. There was a time the alarm was just giving problems. So I would call him and say the alarm is going off. If he's in the area, he would say, I'm in the area, I'll sort it out. And I'll tell Mr. Mokonyane that, Mr. Mokonyane, I called Richard, he'll go and sort it out. From there on,
I see. And you said you dealt with the issues of maintenance and other issues.
Yes, that's why I asked if I should elaborate.
Please elaborate.
Yes, elaborate.
Other issues like, for example, sometimes we had a lady that, like I said earlier, we had a problem with one of the toilets and it was leaking water. So the ladies have called me and said, Sisi, there's this problem with the toilet, so I would call the plumber. And say, okay, let me call the plumber, and they'll come out. So they would, look, I don't know what would go on there. I would then call the ladies, and then they would tell me, no, it's sorted, and that's it. Other issues, there's a lady I know that used to or still does, I'm not sure, delivers flowers. So she would also leave the invoice at home. And the lady at the house would say to me, so-and-so was here, and she delivered the invoice, please remind Mama to pay it. And then I would say to her, you know what, put it at a place where Mama can see it, and then you give it to her when she gets there. Because I'm not in a position to say that there is this thing. I may not even see her, because more often you don't even get to see. So when she comes home, you just give it to her.
And you were not involved in the ordering of new equipment to be fitted at the house?
No.
And Mr. Mokonyane didn't instruct you to?
No, Mr. Mokonyane would do those things himself, because I wouldn't know what exactly is needed there.
Now, this Richard.
Richard, yes?
Yes. Where did he work?
I didn't know where he worked. I didn't even know what company he was working for.
And how did you get hold of him?
Mr. Mokonyane gave me his number.
And you never arranged for the installation of CCTVs at the house of Mr. and Mrs. Mokonyane?
No. My only arrangement, I would just say, look, as directed, I would just say that Cynthia, XYZ, please, or not even Cynthia, Busisi, where somebody's coming to the house, Ndate would tell you what they're going to do. If he hasn't told you, this is what's going to happen. People are coming and this is, but not what time or whatever, I don't know what time they would come.
But you were never instructed that there were people going to install CCTVs?
No, not CCTVs, not to my knowledge. I would just be told, please tell Busi, or please tell this one, or please tell Grace that people are coming, they must open up for them.
And
so that they could tell the police.
You were the link between the outside world and the departments, between the departments and the minister. Anything going to the minister, official, will come through you?
Not quite. I am the PA, I am maybe the link.
Some things would come through you, others won't.
Yes, some things would come, some would not. We also had a chief of staff, we also had a media liaison, and they have direct access to her. So it would or would not come through me.
And no department, no government department liaise with you to install CCTVs at Mrs. Mokonyane's house?
At home.
At home.
Okay, when we were at housing, it was a whole arrangement. I know that they did upgrades, and it was a whole arrangement, because I had to facilitate them going to the house. So I had to inform the ladies at home that people are coming from the department, and that happened during the time when we were at the Department of Housing.
So Department of Housing contacted you?
It's not the Department of Housing per se. We were at the Department of Housing at the time.
Okay.
And it's not the Department of Housing per se, but obviously there's security and risk analysis people, they would be there, the security guys. All of that was arranged through the Office of the Premier.
Let's get this clear. Who contacted you about the installation of CCTVs at Mrs. Mokonyane's
The
house.
gentlemen at the office of the Premier.
And the Office of the Premier said they will do installations at Mrs. Mokonyane's
Well,
house.
the first point of contact was when they told me that they needed to go and do an assessment and they had to visit the house to see what needs to be done, what needs to be installed and what needs to be repaired. And for security reasons, I needed to just inform the ladies that they would come.
And you informed the ladies.
Yes, I would inform the ladies.
And then, did you get a feedback about the assessment that had been done?
Not a full feedback because it wasn't within my scope. We had a head of office even then. So at the head of office would also, as the head of office, they have broader scope, but I wouldn't get feedback. They would either talk to the head of office but not even directly to Mrs. Mokonyane.
And
Yeah, I'm
the-
sorry, Mr. Noche. Let's take the tea adjournment. We will adjourn now for tea and resume at 25 to 12.
Thank you, Chief.
We adjourn.
Okay, bye.
Okay, all right, continue.
And then they later on asked you to arrange for them to install the CCTVs.
Well, they would have spoken to Mr. Mokonyane, but they would have done that too. And my knowledge, I also in that made that arrangement to facilitate that they be given access, and that was it. I don't.
I'm sorry. Are you saying that they spoke to you when they wanted to install CCTV cameras?
I would, Your Honor, I would just be the one that would ask, they would say, make arrangements with the people at home. We are coming on this
Yes.
particular day.
Yes.
Yes.
But what I'm asking is whether you are saying at some point they contacted you and
Yes.
asked you to make arrangements.
So that they could go back to the house and they will be working at home. That's all. The word was they'll be working at home.
Or they didn't talk about installation of the CCTV, they just said they want to do something.
Look, I would ask, being me, I would say, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
No, we're going to do the fences, we're going to check the gates, and we're going to, yeah.
So you say that's what they told you?
Yeah, well, they just said we're going to do the fence, the gates, the
Yes.
cameras, the lights need,
Yes.
yeah.
But
And that's
you-
it.
But you don't know whether they actually did that, you just know they talked to you about
They were
planning
there.
to do it.
They were there because at one point, Mr. Mokonyane met with them to discuss the issue of the gate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, what you are dealing with is quite important. Now, you say you know for sure
Yes, I do, Your Honor,
that they did what?
that they went and they put on the electric fence, they did the lights.
They put up the electric fence?
Yes, they did the lights. And a few other things, I'm not sure
security
what else.
lights,
Yeah, there was quite a number of things
and
that they did.
CCTV cameras?
Yes.
Yes.
They put up a room for the police
Yes.
to be sheltered, especially in rainy
Yes.
weather and so on. So they
Yes.
had to put in monitors and
Yes.
things like that, yeah.
Yes. So that you know?
That I know, yes.
Yes. And you know it because they told you so, or because you were there when they did it?
No, I would know that because I was told this is what, because I asked.
Yes,
Look, I
okay.
can't just say that you need access to the house. I need to know
Yes.
what you're going to do.
Okay, all right.
Now, the investigators, and you know the investigators for the commission, you have met them on occasion.
Yes.
They contacted the office of the premier, and
Okay.
it said it didn't install any security features at the house.
Well, I find
But
that
didn't she
strange.
say it was housing department?
No, it says it was done by
It was
the premier's office.
It was a time when I know that there was things that was done at MEC's homes,
It was when Ms. Mokonyane was MEC.
MEC, not a premier.
Yeah, was she
Yes.
MEC for housing at
She
the
was
time?
MEC for housing.
So it was people from the housing department that you spoke
We had
to?
a person from the housing department and we had the security people from the office of the premier who coordinated, and
Okay.
SAPS.
Okay,
They coordinated because there was a need for, I don't know, some
Yes.
sort of an upgrade to MEC's homes.
oh, okay.
So it wasn't just Mrs. Mokonyane as the MEC at that time.
Yes,
It was
yes.
something to do with MEC's homes,
Yes.
but not during her term as premier.
Yes, okay.
Your evidence now, before break, you said this was done by the office of the premier.
Yes, I'm saying that office of the premier, with a person from the Department of Housing and SAPS, it was all coordinated.
The office of the premier says they didn't do upgrades and they didn't install security features at the house.
Well, that I didn't know, but what I can say, and I can confirm that whatever was done, it was done through SAPS, the office of the premier.
Which
And
office?
it may even be the Department of Housing. I don't
Yeah,
know those technicalities.
But which office said to you, we want to go to Mrs. Mokonyane's home to install security features?
The
Please.
gentleman that we were working with at the Department of Housing that is responsible for safety. So it was a matter of assessments and things like that. And I do know. Okay.
do you remember his name by any chance?
I remember his face. I'm not sure if it's Tabo, something like that, but I cannot remember his name.
Yes.
But he was responsible for security
Is
at
there
the
anybody
office of,
else?
at the Department of Housing.
Is there anybody else, either in the Premier's office or in the Housing Department or SAPS that, whose name you
Not
remember?
SAPS, I would not know, Your
Not
Honor.
SAPS, yeah.
I would
Premier's
not know.
office?
Office of
Somebody
the
that-
Premier, they have their own security. I don't know if there was still, if there's people there, the same people, if they are still there.
Yes, but are you able to remember the names of some of the people from the Premier's office who were involved, who would know about this if the Commission wants to check?
There was a Colin, I don't know if he's still there, or if he was even involved during that period. I just know his name is Colin. I don't know if he was part of the involvement, but he was at the office of the Premier. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And in the, so just to get it clear so that there's no misunderstanding, the person who asked for you to arrange for the security features to be installed was a person from Department of Housing. Is that correct?
Yes, it was done through the gentleman that was responsible for security at the Department of Housing.
And do you know who the person is?
As I indicated now, it's either Tabo or something, I don't even know. I can see his face though, but in terms of his name, I can't recall. It could be Tabo something, I'm not sure.
But if the commission were to ask Department of Housing, what section of the department should they ask? Should they ask?
That would be.
Well, you said security, isn't it?
Yeah, security, yes.
It was somebody who was from the
Somebody
security
that was working with security.
Department of
Yes,
Housing.
in the Department of Housing.
Do you know if that person was the head of the security unit at the Housing Department?
I don't know,
You
Your
don't
Honor, if he
know.
was the head
Okay.
or if he was just assigned to
Okay.
take care of the matter. I don't know.
Now, you had promised the chair and the commission that things will come back to you. Has anything come back to you?
Well, I went to the bathroom. I tried to recall a few things. No.
Because Mr. Agriz does recall in his evidence what he discussed with you.
What he discussed with me.
Yes.
Can I go to that?
If you go to page 56 of the record,
Page 50?
56.
Well, Mr. Noshe, before you proceed, for quite some time, I was under the impression that Mr. Agriz's evidence and Mr. Leroux's evidence, I guess, was to the effect that BOSASA installed the CCTV cameras.
Yes.
But when I was looking at his affidavit, Mr. Agrizi, last night, I didn't seem to pick that up. And I don't know whether it is in Mr. Leroux's affidavit because I didn't have that affidavit at hand. And when I didn't seem to pick that part up in Mr. Agrizi's 3 affidavits, I thought that maybe what he said was that BOSASA attended to repairs and maintenance of the security features at Ms. Nomvula Mokonyane's private house, as opposed to having bought and installed the CCTV cameras. So I don't know whether it's something you are sure about, or whether you might be mistaken like I was.
Chair, my recollection is Richard Leroux seems to confirm that they installed the CCTVs. I'll also have to check.
Yeah, you see, that's why it would have helped if those affidavits were here.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Chair, I mean, the way I understand, as the matters stand now, the witness says these were installed by the Department of of housing. And I'll go back to the evidence and check with the witness, and check with the investigating officers. And then and look at that with the evidence of Agrese and Leroux, and then we can deal with that if something comes out of it. But in any event, the investigators will follow up the evidence of Mrs. Thomas insofar as
Yeah.
the installation of these by the,
Yeah. It's just that if Mr. Agrese and Mr. Leroux, if the position is that they don't say that the CCTV cameras were installed by BOSASA, then that issue falls away.
yes,
And if all they are saying is it was, BOSASA was repairing and maintaining security features that had been installed by somebody else.
yes,
Yeah, and Ms. Thomas has made it clear that there were a number of times when she had to contact Mr. Richard Leroux with regard to things to be fixed at home, at the private home of
Yes.
Ms. Mokonyane. So in other words, if you need to check whether Mr. Agrese's evidence and Mr. Leroux's evidence includes saying that BOSASA installed the CCTV cameras.
yes,
Because if it doesn't include that, maybe there's no reason to go further about the installation.
yes,
But with regard to maintenance, I think that her evidence seems to support at least part of what Mr. Agrese said, insofar as Mr. Agrese said, at a certain stage, BOSASA put together a team led by Mr. Richard Leroux that was meant to take care of whatever issues arose in the house. So what she has said seems to be consistent with that,
yes,
insofar as maintenance and issues are concerned.
yes.
Yeah.
Now, just before I take you to page 56,
Okay.
are you there on page 56?
Did you say 53?
No, 56.
56. Okay.
This 5/6 of part of the summons.
No, 56 is part of, yes, the summons, it's annexed to the summons.
It's little
56,
tiny.
That
look
is
at 56
very-
at the top.
The
It's very
writing-
tiny.
I'm
It's
sorry,
little
the
tiny
writing,
things, yes.
Gosh.
hang on, we can't all speak at the same time.
Well, I
Why is
can't
the writing on those pages so small?
I cannot see anything here.
Yeah, Mr. Noche, why?
I suppose, Chair,
Because the other pages are fine.
I suppose they were trying to save paper. But I don't know why they printed it like this.
Well, somebody should have checked this bundle and seen that these pages with such fine print should be replaced with others that have got the correct size of print. It's difficult to read here. Yes,
Chair, just to be, on the part of the people who keep the records, there's been concern that, look, for instance, if you look at the pages, they would have had about more than 10 pages, 20 pages of this. I think at times it's merely to save paper and
yeah, but
save
it
costs.
doesn't have to save paper if we can't read it. The whole point is that we must read it first. We must be able to read.
Can I continue to refer the witness, or should I get?
Yeah, refer the witness if you can, if she can see. Maybe
But it's fine.
you will read for us if you are able to read.
I
I
can.
think so.
Yeah, read for all of us. But will you arrange afterwards that my pages here be replaced by pages with pages that have got the correct size of the print.
And this is on page, it's on page 9 of 142 pages. And it's the left hand, it's on the left-hand side of the document. And it starts by 21 January 2019, day 37. And then there is Advocate Paul Pretorius, SC. He says, were further instructions given to you by Mr. Gavin Watson after 2002 in relation to Ms. Mokonyane? Then Mr. Agrizi says, Chair, there were numerous requests. They were given through the year. These I have to contact a personal assistance, and these included organizing and paying of funerals in respect of deceased family members. I would have to arrange for a rental a vehicle up to 3 months at a time for a daughter when a daughter was coming back from China, where she was studying, and then intervene. So what I wanted to for you, Jesus, it seems as if Mr. Agrizi says,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
it seems as if Mr. Agrizi says he dealt with you arranging funerals and even hiring of cars.
No.
Why do you say no? Because when you say you can't remember what you discussed with Mr. Agrizi,
I can confirm that I have not arranged vehicles through Mr. Agrizi, nor funerals. And I know that there was even made mention of ANC rallies and catering and cakes. No.
and yet up to now you can't remember what you discussed with him.
Those particular items I've never spoken to Mr. Agrizi about. Did not fall under my ambit, unfortunately.
I see. Now, lastly, you say these security upgrades, TVs, and were installed by the Department of Housing. Now,
Mr. Nopchi, maybe just a point. I'm sorry that I have to interrupt, and I'm sorry.
No, don't worry, it's fine.
I made it clear that I said it was a coordinated matter between the security people at housing, SAPS, as well as the security people at the Office of the Premier. So who installed it, who paid for it, I unfortunately cannot answer on that one.
Now, do you know when these had faults, why would you call Mr. Leroux instead of calling the department that had installed them?
Well, if you look at the time frames, we were at the Office of the Department of Housing. Where and why I was called, Mr. Leroux is much later in the time, and that's what it is. At the Department of Housing and at the Office of the Premier, I was not relating to Mr. Leroux at all. So this installation was way before the time of Mr. Leroux. And Mr. Leroux only came in the latter part of the year, so.
Did you deal with Mr. Leroux during the time when Ms. Mokonyane was Minister of Sanitation?
That particular SMS, Your Honor, is during that time.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
and that was her private home.
Did you also deal with Mr. Leroux at other times other than when Ms. Mokonyane was Minister?
No,
It was only when she was Minister, as far as you remember?
yes.
Okay, all right.
Chair, just lastly, or just for reference, I had referred to emails on pages 83, 80, 85. Those emails, Chair, are on Exhibit T29, which will be the affidavit of Mr. Gina Peters. I'm merely mentioning them for purposes of reading and record.
Okay.
This affidavit will have it admitted later when Ms. Gina Peters testifies.
Yes.
I have no further questions from the witness.
Yes. what is the arrangement about when she is testifying?
Testifying on Wednesday, the 2nd.
On Wednesday?
Yes.
We have another witness who should take the whole day on Wednesday. How long do you think she is going to be?
She shouldn't be long. She shouldn't be long, Chair.
That's
If-
like
if-
what?
If, for instance, we were to make an arrangement for her to start at 9, we should finish by 10.
Okay, so I think we may have to make that arrangement.
I'll arrange
Yeah.
now. It's early enough.
Yeah,
Early
yeah,
enough for us to arrange to start at 9,
yeah,
and then by 10, it will be done.
yeah. Or maybe we say 9:30.
9:30 still is.
Yeah.
Even if you start at 9:30, Chair, we'll just, the
Yeah.
latest will be just on the other side of
Yeah,
10.
yeah, let's say 9:30.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Ms. Thomas,
Yes, Your Honor.
in your affidavit, you have also dealt with Mr. Agrizi's evidence relating to his evidence that BOSASA provided Ms. Mokonyane with groceries. You remember that?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yes, and he listed in his affidavit some of the items of the groceries that he said were bought for Ms. Mokonyane, and they included meat, they included liquor, they included a number of things. I think they are set out in his affidavit.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you have responded in paragraph 91 to that part of his evidence, and you said another aspect that warrants specific mention pertains to large-scale groceries, arrangements for the mentioned birthdays and burials of the deceased loved ones of the Mokonyane family. The large-scale groceries could not have been for the family consumption. I believe this aspect was cleared by the former minister herself. My knowledge of the arrangements in the House objectively conveys the message that the type of large-scale groceries could not have been accommodated in the House. You remember that's what you say in your affidavit at paragraph 91.1.
Let me just go to that. Sorry, Your Honor.
You want to find it in your affidavit?
Yes, I was there now.
Okay, paragraph 91.1. Okay, and then in 91.2 you say, however, I distinctly remember that there were instances when I corresponded with people, including Mr. Agrizi,
Yes.
relating to such large-scale type of groceries as mentioned for the community projects for the elderly in Kagiso. Then, even then, Mr. Watson would always be the person that initiated the entire process. He would telephone me and intimidatingly and yet joyfully say, quote, now we stop everything and focus on the people that really need a bright festive season. Then you say, I would immediately know who to contact and establish the anticipated number of people and the needs. I would also make sure that the relevant dates are noted in the calendar. Now, it seems to me, and you must tell me if I misunderstand your evidence, it seems to me that you are saying you know about groceries paid or purchased by BOSASA, but you are saying, as far as you know, they were for needy people in the community and not for the Mokonyane family.
Yes, Your
Is
Honor.
that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Yeah. Now, your involvement in all of this, these groceries, I take it you were involved because your principal, Ms. Mokonyane, had something to do with them. There was a role she was to play.
Parcels would be made,
Sorry?
parcels would be made,
Yeah.
and it would go to families in Kagiso.
Yes.
We would know, the ladies would know who to invite, which families are in most need, and it would then go to those families. The numbers would normally vary.
Yes.
So even if you're providing for 70 or 30 people, you know, word of mouth, you'll always find more people. So one would try and accommodate for just a bit extra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say the ladies would know?
We had.
I thought you said something that the
Yes,
ladies
I did
would
say.
know.
We had a network of people in the area
In
that did
Kagiso.
community work. They didn't just work, they didn't work for Mrs. Mokonyane or
Yeah.
anybody. They did mostly community work in Kagiso.
Yeah.
So they would know, you know, where there is a need, and they would
Yes.
identify.
Yes.
But it's not the same ladies, it would always be different people, because people come and go. But they would know who the needy are, the most needy, actually. And it was a yearly thing. There was one time when we did it even for her birthday, but it was arranged completely differently. So that,
Would Ms. Mokonyane be involved in the distribution of those groceries or parcels?
well, I wasn't there,
Yes.
so I don't know if she was there, but I
Yes.
was not there. I would
Yes.
just be part of the
Yes.
the year and there and make sure that this is there and liaise with her sister who's late, and she would also know that this is coming and this is what it's needed for.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I would liaise with her late sister,
Whose late sister?
Mrs. Mokonyane's late sister.
Yes.
Yeah,
You would liaise with her.
yes.
Okay. In order to identify.
No, just to indicate that there would be this coming,
Yeah.
and this is where you put it, because we would be making parcels.
Or did she live in Kagiso?
Yeah, she's from Kagiso.
Okay.
She was living at the home.
Oh, okay. So, was she a common fisher? You said the ladies would change, it would not be the same people all the time. Would she always be,
She was at the house,
yeah,
and besides, she was living at the house. So besides the ladies, the helpers, she was there living at the house.
is
So
that at Miss Mokonyane's house?
yeah.
Or her sister lived in that
Yes.
house? Okay,
So obviously, for me, that would be the safest person and the safest place to have things
Yeah.
dropped off so that we could
yes.
coordinate it from there.
Yes.
Because if it was taken directly to Kagiso, it would have been a bit of a problem as to where, and yeah.
Yes,
And it would be done, taken,
yes,
and distributed. People would be invited
yes.
to come in.
So these parcels of groceries would be delivered to Ms. Mokonyane's house, but for, as far as you know,
For
for
the-
onward delivery to Kagiso, not to stay in the house.
Not standing there, no. Not standing at the house, it would go to Kagiso.
Yes, but what I'm asking is whether you are saying the first point
Yes, Your
would be
Honor.
that they would be brought to Ms. Mokonyane's house,
To the garage,
to the garage.
Yes.
And then afterwards, they would then be taken to Kagiso
yes, Your
to
Honor.
be distributed to the community.
Yes, Your Honor.
And would this happen around Christmas time, December,
Yes.
festive season?
It would happen around Christmas time, December.
Yes,
Sometimes it would try to be a bit early,
yes,
because we normally would finish off at the 15th.
yes.
So sometimes it would be after, even after
Yes,
the 15th.
yes. Okay. And would it be a yearly thing? Did it happen every year?
Yes, Mrs. Mokonyane would have this yearly event every year, say for the last 2 years,
Oh,
due to ill health and the mourning of her husband.
yes. So Miss Mokonyane would be there for these deliveries?
Not for the deliveries, no.
Yeah, but she would know about the arrangement.
At times, she wouldn't even know.
Yes.
I would be told by Mr. Watson, let's do this and let's do that.
Yes.
I would indicate to him that, okay, I'm not sure how many people we are looking for, and try and contact the ladies and establish how many people we're looking for,
Yes.
looking at to accommodate.
Yes.
And we would take it from there. I would just indicate these are the number of people, and whatever is brought, it's not my call.
Yes.
Whatever is brought, and packages would be made.
Yes. Do you know how these parcels of groceries were taken from Ms. Mokonyane's house to Kagiso?
No.
Who took them and so
No.
on? You don't know that?
No.
Yeah, and in terms of how they were brought to Ms. Mokonyane's house, do you know whether it was BOSASA?
I would be the one that would be called. Mr. Gries would indicate that you'd get this call just for a day and make sure that somebody's home to take responsibility of these things.
Yes,
And that's
yes.
it.
And they would be put into the garage, in the garage.
I know that went into the garage because
Yeah, there was a lot of
there was no space.
there's no space.
Yeah, and it would not immediately, but, as soon as possible, be taken
Yeah,
away.
Maybe after a few days or something.
Not even a few days.
Maybe a day.
Yeah, maybe the
Yeah.
next day, I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay. Now, did you say you said it would happen around the festive season, Christmas period?
Yes, Christmas period.
Sometimes a little earlier.
A little earlier,
Yeah, like early
depending
December.
on when Mr.
Depending.
Watson would call.
Yes. Now, would it happen like every year? I don't know, I may have asked you this question, I just want you to.
Sometimes it would happen a year after year, and
So sometimes they'll skip a year.
sometimes they would skip a year,
Yeah,
but Mrs. Mokonyane would also then arrange her own,
make her own arrangements.
yes,
Okay, to give
to
people
give.
food.
At one
So-
time, we went and we did a blanket
I'm sorry,
distribution.
did you say he
At one-
now or she?
She-
Mr. Mokonyane, Ms. Mokonyane?
At one time, we did a blanket distribution to the old people, as
Yeah.
well as groceries and those
Yes.
kind of things.
Yes. Now, from the time that you started working for Ms. Mokonyane, which you said was 1999,
Yes,
to 2019, when she stopped being minister, for example, are you able to say that maybe most of those years this happened, even though it might not have been every year, or are you not able to say that?
it would happen most of the years.
Most
Sometimes it
of
would
the
be in the
years.
middle of the year.
Or sometimes
For her
even-
birthday.
Yes.
She would take the initiative of, instead of spending her birthday,
Yeah.
she would spend it with the grannies
Okay.
and the granddads in Kagiso.
Yes, yes.
And that would also be in the middle of the year for her
Yes.
birthday.
Yes, and when it happened in the middle of the year, maybe for a birthday, would BOSASA have been involved in providing parcels?
Not to
or-
my knowledge, no.
Not to your knowledge. That
She
would be a
would- she
separate
would-
arrangement for herself.
She would do it by herself.
Okay,
And,
okay,
yeah,
okay. But the Christmas period ones that involve
Not
BOSASA,
always,
it
Your
would
Honor.
be not always, but most
not
of
always
the years.
BOSASA.
Not always BOSASA.
No, she would do some of these things.
Yeah, no, I accept
Yes.
that. I'm
Yeah.
just talking about those that were done by BOSASA.
Not every year, no. Not all the time. We would
Yes.
wait for Mr. Watson if he calls. If he doesn't call,
Yes, but
that-
you said most of
Most
the
of it,
years.
yeah.
Okay, no, that helps clarify things for me. Do you have anything arising?
No, Chair, I do
No,
not.
okay.
I'm not sure whether the legal representatives want to.
Do you wish to re-examine or are you fine?
No, not at this stage.
Not at this stage, okay. Ms. Thomas?
Your Honor.
Thank you very much for coming to assist the commission. Thank you that
Pleasure, sir.
you came. We are done. You are now excused. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay. That's all you had, Mr. Noche.
Yes,
for
that's the
today?
only evidence we have.
Yes. Okay, we are going to adjourn. And just for the public, there will not be a sitting tomorrow,
Yes.
but we will sit on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Yes.
As things presently stand, on Wednesday, we will hear Ms. Gina Peters' evidence, as well as after her, I will hear the evidence of Ms. Sepato Dlamini, who is a former chief financial officer of the Department of, I think, Agriculture in the Free State. And then on Thursday, we'll hear the evidence. I will have Ms. Mokonyane back to deal with certain matters
Yes.
that have arisen since she gave evidence. And then on Friday, I will hear the evidence of Mr. Vincent Smith
Yes.
from Parliament.
Yes.
We adjourn.